According to the latest data published by the International Diabetes Federation, the Philippines has the total adult population of around 63 million people.
As of June of this year, the total cases of diabetes in adults is around 4 million. That is 6.3% of the total adult population.
The question is, how do we fight diabetes? Well, there are different kinds of medication that people with diabetes could take.
What you can see in the screen are the list of medicine you can take, but the most commonly used drug is the insulin. Some people who have type 2 diabetes needs insulin therapy. In the past, insulin therapy was used as a last resort, but today it is often prescribed sooner because of its benefits. Insulin is a protein hormone that is used as a medication to treat high blood glucose levels. This includes diabetes type 1, type 2, and other complications of diabetes. So the question is, how do we produce insulin, or how does our body produce insulin? Insulin is released from the beta cells in our pancreas in response to the rising glucose in your bloodstream. After you eat a meal, any carbohydrates you've eaten are broken down into glucose and passed into the bloodstream. The pancreas detects this rise in the blood glucose and starts to secrete insulin. Insulin works by improving the uptake of glucose from the blood across the cell membranes and into the cell of the body, and so takes glucose out of the bloodstream. When insulin-producing cells are damaged or destroyed, then our body stops producing insulin. Our body could no longer regulate our blood glucose, and then we develop diabetes due to this failure. In order to cure people with diabetes, we need to inject them with insulin. Here is the process of producing insulin. A small piece of circular DNA called plasmid is extracted from bacteria or yeast cell. A plasmid is a small extrachromosomal DNA molecule within a cell that is physically separated from the chromosomal DNA and can replicate independently. A small section is then cut out of the circular plasmid by restriction enzymes we call molecular scissors. The gene for human insulin is inserted into the gap of the plasmid. This plasmid is now genetically modified. This cell then divides rapidly and starts making insulins. To create large amount of the cell, the genetically modified bacteria or yeast cell are grown in large fermentation vessels that contains all the nutrients they need. The more the cell divide, the more insulin is produced. The insulin is then purified and packaged into bottles and insulin pens for distribution. Then this insulin can now be used with people with diabetes. The whole process of producing insulin through bacteria or yeast cell is what we call genetic engineering, and those said bacteria are called genetically modified organisms or GMO. This genetically modified insulin or Humulin was licensed for human use since 1982. All the things I've mentioned so far is just one of 1,000 benefits of the use of GMO. Thank you for watching.